They say that some people are like open books, their lives laid bare for all to see. This was my grandmother, Aurora. To me, she was an endless source of wisdom, a gentle breeze that could chase away the darkest clouds. Her blue eyes sparkled like a summer sky, inviting anyone who gazed into them to share their secrets, hopes, and dreams. Her hugs had a mystical quality, wrapping around me like a warm blanket, healing any pain I carried. In her presence, laughter flowed like a river, and even the simplest moments felt imbued with magic. But when she passed away, a quiet void settled over our family. I found myself sifting through the remnants of her life, each item holding a memory, a whisper of her spirit. It was during this time of reflection that I stumbled upon an old wooden box tucked away in the corner of her attic, a place filled with dust and shadows. The box was unassuming, its surface marred by age, yet it radiated an unspoken promise of hidden treasures. As I pried it open, a worn leather diary caught my eye, its cover cracked, then yellowed pages yearning to share their secrets. The moment I laid my hands on that diary, my heart raced. I felt as though I was holding a fragment of her soul, a portal into her past that I had never known existed. The diary was heavy, not just with the weight of its leather, but with the gravity of the stories it contained. I could sense it held more than just her daily musings. It was a vessel of emotions, of dreams unfulfilled and choices made in the shadows. With trembling fingers, I began to turn the pages, each one releasing a faint scent of old paper and ink, the comforting aroma that enveloped me like a warm embrace. As I read, I was transported to a time long before I had come into this world, a time filled with turmoil and heartache. The entries were a mixture of poetry and prose, revealing a woman I thought I knew, but who was, in many ways, a stranger to me. It was in those pages that I discovered her voice, a melody of hope and despair intertwined. She spoke of love, an extraordinary love that society would never accept, a bond that defied the norms of her time. As I read, I felt the rawness of her emotions, the joy that pulsed through her veins, and the pain that shadowed every moment of happiness. My grandmother had lived a life filled with both light and darkness, and as I turned each page, it became clear that everything I had known about her was about to shift. The revelations unfolded like a delicate flower, and I suddenly realized how little I understood my grandmother's journey. I had always admired her strength and grace, yet the diary painted a portrait of sacrifice and resilience that left me in awe. I could hardly breathe as the weight of her secrets settled upon my shoulders, the realization dawning that this was not just her story, but a legacy intertwined with mine. As I continued to read, I could see the echoes of her choices reverberating through the generations, each decision leading to another, weaving a complex web that connected us all. The diary was not merely a collection of thoughts. It was a testament to a life lived in defiance of societal expectations, a chronicle of a forbidden love that had shaped our family in ways I couldn't yet comprehend. With every turn of the page, I felt the call of my own heart, urging me to understand what had been hidden for so long. The whispers of the past beckoned me, inviting me to delve deeper into the mysteries of our family's history. I knew this was just the beginning, a doorway to a world I had yet to explore, filled with secrets, lost treasures, and the profound power of love that transcends time. This diary would reveal not only Aurora's extraordinary life, but also the essence of what it means to love and sacrifice. It reminded me that our stories, though often buried beneath the surface, are crucial to understanding who we are today. As I held the diary close, I felt a surge of hope, a promise that by uncovering these hidden truths, I can honor my grandmother's memory and connect with the legacy she had left behind. So, dear listener, as we journey through these pages together, let us uncover the extraordinary life of Grandma Aurora. Let us witness the forbidden love that dared to bloom amidst chaos and the treasures she safeguarded for generations to come. I invite you to join me on this exploration, to embrace the secrets that await us, and perhaps to discover a little more about ourselves along the way. If you wish to uncover these hidden legacies, be sure to like or subscribe and stay with me. as we unfold this remarkable tale of love, sacrifice, and the enduring bonds that tie us all together. Willow Creek in the late 1930s was a small, quiet town, nestled among rolling hills and fields of golden wheat. The air was often filled with the sweet scent of wildflowers and the distant sound of laughter from children playing along the banks of the creek. The sun would rise each morning, casting a warm glow over the town, illuminating the rustic homes with their white picket fences and well-tended gardens. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, an idyllic landscape that cradled the simple lives and its inhabitants. In this serene setting lived a young woman named Aurora, a dreamer with a spirit as vibrant as the colorful wildflowers that dotted the countryside. She spent her days wandering through the fields, her fingers brushing against the tall grass, while her mind soared through the pages of the books she cherished. The stories of distant lands and daring adventures transported her far beyond the boundaries of Willow Creek. Yet, despite the beauty surrounding her, there was a quiet yearning in her heart, a subtle whisper that urged her to seek something more. Aurora was the middle child in a close-knit family, the daughter of hard-working farmers who rose with the sun and toiled until dusk. Her father, a man of few words but strong hands, tended to the land with a quiet dedication, while her mother, a gentle soul, filled their home with warmth and laughter. She had an older brother, Thomas, whose dreams soared as high as the birds he admired. He often spoke of becoming an aviator, his eyes sparkling with the thrill of the sky. Aurora admired his ambition, feeling a pang of longing for the same fire within herself. Then there was Lily, her younger sister, who saw the world through a poetic lens, capturing the beauty of their surroundings in delicate sketches and verses. Their home was filled with love, laughter, and the fragrance of freshly baked bread. Every evening, they would gather around the table, sharing stories of their day, their voices mingling with the soft sounds of crickets outside. Aurora would listen, her heart swelling with affection for her family. Yet deep down, she felt an ache for something beyond the horizon. The routine of their lives was comforting, but there was a flicker of restlessness within her, a desire to spread her wings and discover the world that lay beyond Willow Creek. As the seasons changed, so did the colors of the landscape. In the spring, the fields would burst into life, a riot of colors that made Aurora's heart dance with joy. She would spend hours lying in the grass, gazing up at the clouds, imagining herself soaring through the sky alongside her brother. In summer, the warm sun would ripen the crocks, and the scent of freshly cut hay would fill the air, a reminder of the hard work that sustained their family. Autumn painted the world in shades of amber and crimson, a gentle reminder that change was a part of life. And in winter, the snow blanketed the town, transforming it into a serene wonderland, where Aurora would often find solace in the quiet beauty. Every day, she would walk to the little schoolhouse at the edge of town, where the sound of laughter mingled with the bustling of papers. There, she learned not only her teachers, but from the world around her. Her imagination was kindled by tales of brave explorers, wise scholars, and forbidden loves. Each story ignited her longing for adventure, leaving her to wonder what lay beyond the familiar paths of Willow Creek. She would often look out the window during lessons, her thoughts drifting towards the distant mountains, the promise of something greater tugging at her heart. Yet amidst the beauty and love that surrounded her, there was a shadow of uncertainty that lingered. Aurora could feel the world outside changing, whispers of conflict and unrest seeping into the town like an unwelcome breeze. The news from afar spoke of struggles and strife, and while they seemed distant from the tranquil life of Willow Creek, Aurora sensed their impending arrival. It made her heart ache, not just for the world that seemed to be slipping away, but for the dreams she had yet to chase. At night, as stars twinkled in the vast sky, she would sit on the porch, the cool breeze wrapping around her like a comforting embrace. With her family nearby, she often pondered her place in the world. The quiet moments, filled with the soft hum of crickets and the distant call of an owl, would sometimes evoke tears, not of sadness, but of a profound yearning for a life that felt just out of reach. She would close her eyes and envision herself standing on a cliff, looking out over the expanse of the world, ready to leap into the unknown. And in the depths of her heart, she held on to the hope that one day she would find the path that called to her. a journey that would lead her beyond the peaceful confines of Willow Creek, where love and sacrifice intertwined, revealing a legacy she could not yet fathom. Aurora's story was just beginning, and with each turn of the page, she would come to understand the weight of her dreams and the silent pact that would bind her to her family and the choices yet to come. The world outside Willow Creek had always seemed distant, a mere backdrop to the serenity of everyday life. The sun kissed the fields of golden wheat, and the laughter of children echoed down the dusty lanes, weaving through the air like a gentle melody. Yet as the years turned, whispers of a darker reality began to seep into the town. News of war, faraway battles, political unrest drifted like autumn leaves on the wind, uncertain and unsettling. The local newspaper, once filled with cheerful announcements and community events, began to feature headlines that sent shivers down the spines of its readers. In the Anderson household, the reactions to these changes were as varied as the colors of the sunset. Aurora's father, a man of resilience, often stood by the kitchen window, his brow furrowed in concern as he gazed at the horizon. He worried about the safety of his family and the future of this farm. Her mother, with her nurturing spirit, focused on keeping the household calm, urging her family to carry on with their routines, baking bread and tending to the garden, as if these simple acts could shield them from the encroaching storm. But within Aurora, a tempest was brewing. At 16, she was caught between the innocence of youth and the shadows of adulthood. The dreams she once held close, of adventure, of love, of seeing the world beyond the confines of Willow Creek, felt like fragile glass, easily shattered by the reality of war. She listened to the stories shared in hushed tones around the dinner table, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and dread. The world was changing, and she was beginning to realize that her idyllic existence might not be as secure as she once believed. Then came the day that would alter the course of her life. The air was heavy with the scent of rain, and the sky threatened to burst with its promise. Aurora had just finished her chores, her hands still dusty from the garden, when a figure appeared at the edge of town. Clad in a crisp military uniform, he stood apart from the local boys who had spent their day playing in the fields. There was an air of mystery about him, a certain gravity that drew her gaze. His name was Elias, and his presence sent ripples through the fabric of Aurora's heart. Elias carried an intensity that was both captivating and unsettling. The first time their eyes met, a spark ignited within her, a mix of curiosity and something deeper, something that felt like destiny. He spoke with a quiet confidence, but there was a tumult beneath the surface, a weight to his words that hinted at secrets untold. While others in Willow Creek viewed him simply as another soldier, Aurora sensed there was far more to his story, an invisible thread connecting his fate to her own. As days passed, the war loomed larger, casting a shadow over the community. The chatter of the townsfolk shifted from mundane gossip to anxious discussions about enlistments and sacrifices. Thomas, Aurora's adventurous brother, spoke with a glimmer in his eyes about the call to serve his country, the thrill of becoming part of something grand. Aurora's heart twisted at the thought. She longed for her brother's courage, but feared for his safety. Each time she heard him voice his desires, a knot formed in her stomach, a silent plea that he would reconsider. With Elias, however, Aurora found a refuge from the storm brewing outside. Their conversations were rich with dreams and fears, laughter echoing in the spaces where silence had once reigned. They would walk together along the riverbank, the water shimmering under the sun, sharing stories that felt as though they could mend the world. With him, she felt alive, her heart racing in ways she had never known, a sensation both thrilling and terrifying. Yet, there was an unspoken tension, a cloud hovering over their budding connection. Aurora sensed that Elias hid something, a secret that could change everything. One evening, as the sky blushed the hues of sunset, Aurora and Elias found themselves sitting beneath an old oak tree. The leaves whispered secrets overhead, and a gentle breeze rustled through the branches, carrying the scent of impending rain. Aurora turned to Elias, her heart pounding. "What is it that you're not telling me?" she asked. her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and hope. For a moment, silence enveloped them, heavy and thick. Elias stared into the distance, his jaw clenched as if battling an unseen foe. "I can't share everything," he finally replied, his voice low, laced with a seriousness that made Aurora's heart ache. "But I can tell you that I'm here for a reason, and it's not just to enjoy the beauty of Willow Creek." A chill ran down her spine. "What do you mean?" she pressed, her pulse quickening. "I have a mission," he admitted, his gaze now piercing into hers. "And it involves choices that could change everything for both of us." The weight of his words settled between them, a dark cloud gathering on the horizon of their blossoming relationship. Aurora's heart raced, torn between the exhilaration of their connection and the terrifying implications of Elias's secret. She wanted to believe that love could conquer all, that their bond was strong enough to withstand the storms ahead. Yet the reality of the world outside their bubble crept closer, a reminder that their lives were intertwined with the fate of nations. As the first drops of rain began to fall, Aurora realized that the quiet life he had known was slipping away. The war that had once felt so distant was no longer just news on the radio. It was a reality that threatened to engulf them all. And with Elias's arrival came a dangerous allure, one that would weave their fates together in ways she had never have imagined. In that moment, beneath the sheltering branches of the oak tree, Aurora felt a shift within her, a dawning awareness that life would never again be simple or safe. The fragile peace of Willow Creek was on the brink of collapse, and she was standing at the precipice of a world filled with love, sacrifice, and the haunting shadows of war. As the rain fell around them, she reached for Elias's hand, feeling the warmth of his skin against hers, a promise that despite the darkness ahead, they would face whatever came together. The nights in Willow Creek were growing longer, shadows stretching over the cobblestone streets, as the weight of the world pressed down upon its residents. Aurora found herself wandering through the quiet path, each step echoing with the secrets she held close to her heart. The war loomed like a dark cloud overhead, yet in the hushed corners of the town, she discovered a light she never expected, Elias. Their clandestine meetings, hidden from prying eyes, became the refuge she desperately needed. Under the shimmering canopy of stars, they would meet in the grove behind the old church, where wildflowers swayed gently in the cool evening breeze. The air was thick with the sweet scent of honeysuckle, and the soft rustle of leaves whispered encouragement as they shared their hopes and fears. Elias's presence filled Aurora with a warmth that chased away the encroaching chill of uncertainty. With each stolen moment, their connection deepened, turning tentative touches into lingering embraces, igniting a flame that was both exhilarating and terrifying. One evening, as Aurora gathered her courage, she pressed Elias to share more of his story. The flicker of the moonlight caught his features, revealing a vulnerability that stirred her heart. With a heavy sigh, he revealed his truth, his identity as a German scientist, a deserter seeking to thwart the very regime from which he had fled. "I came to Willow Creek," he explained, his voice low but steady, "to find an encryption device that my mentor hid away. It's powerful, and if it falls into the wrong hands, it could change the course of the war." Aurora felt her heart race, the weight of his revelation settling heavily between them. She could see the fear in his eyes, the burden he carried. "What does this mean for us?" she asked, the uncertainty of their future pressing down on her like a storm cloud. "You're in danger, Elias. We both are." He took her hands in his touch grounding her. "I need your help, Aurora. We have to find it before those who seek it find me. It's hidden in the labyrinth beneath the old church. Only those who know the secrets of the clockmaker can access it." A shiver ran down her spine at the mention of the labyrinth. She had heard whispers of its existence, tales of twisting paths and hidden doors, but had never dared to believe they were real. The thought of descending into darkness, into a world cloaked in danger, filled her with both dread and exhilaration. "I'll help you," she declared, her voice steady despite the fear fluttering in her chest. "But we need to be cautious. There are eyes everywhere." As if summoned by her words, a chill crept through the air, an unshakable feeling of being watched. Aurora noticed unfamiliar faces in town, people who lingered too long in the shadows, their gazes sharp and calculating. The sense of paranoia thickened in her throat, and her heart raced with the knowledge that they were not alone in this fight. The war was seeping into Willow Creek, and the stakes were higher than she could have imagined. Days turned into a blur of frantic planning and whispered conversations. They would meet under the cover of night, their hearts racing with both fear and hope. Aurora poured her thoughts into her diary, her only confidant, capturing the essence of her emotions, the thrill of love, the weight of responsibility, and the growing urgency of their task. Each entry became a testament to her transformation, a chronicle of a girl who once dreamt of adventure and was now standing at the precipice of a dangerous reality. The night of their descent into the labyrinth arrived, cloaked in a thick blanket of darkness. The moon hung high, casting an ethereal glow that illuminated their path. The old church loomed before them, its stones weathered and ancient, whispering secrets of the past. Aurora's heart pounded in her chest as Elias led her to a hidden entrance, concealed behind a crumbling wall. The scent of damp earth filled the air as they stepped inside, the darkness enveloping them like a shroud. With each step deeper into the labyrinth, Aurora felt the weight of her choice. She was no longer just a girl caught in the currents of fate. She was an active participant in a story that intertwined love and sacrifice. The walls echoed with the sound of her footsteps, and the air hummed with anticipation. The maze twisted and turned, each corner revealing new shadows. Aurora clutched Elias's hand tightly, feeling the warmth of his presence beside her, a beacon of hope amidst the encroaching darkness. As they navigated the narrow passageways, Elias whispered tales of his mentor, the clockmaker who had hidden the device, sharing stories of ingenuity and brilliance. He feared what might happen if the Nazis gained control of it, he said, his voice echoing softly in the stillness. He knew it was a weapon more powerful than any gun. Aurora's heart ached at the thought of losing him. She understood now that their love was not just a fleeting moment of joy. It was a bond forged in the fires of turmoil, the connection that could withstand even the darkest of times. But as they ventured deeper, the air grew thick with tension, and the feeling of being hunted became palpable. Suddenly, a noise echoed from the shadows, a sound that sent a jolt of fear through Aurora's veins. They were not alone. Panic surged within her as Elias tightened his grip on her hand. "We need to hurry," he urged, his voice low but urgent. They pressed on, the sense of urgency propelling them forward as the labyrinth twisted around them like a living entity. At long last, they reached a heavy wooden door, intricately carved with symbols she couldn't decipher. Elias stepped forward, his breath quickening. "This is it," he whispered. "The artifact is beyond this door." But just as he began to push it open, a voice called out from the darkness, chilling them both to the bone. "You shouldn't have come here, Elias." The voice dripped with menace, revealing the presence of the Nazi agents who had been lurking in Willow Creek. Aurora's heart sank as fear gripped her, but deep within, a spark ignited. She had come too far to turn back. In that moment, she realized she would do anything to protect the love they shared, even if it meant stepping into the shadows to confront the danger head-on. The labyrinth was no longer just a path to the artifact. It was a test of her courage, a crucible that would shape her destiny. With her heart racing and her resolve firm, Aurora turned to Elias. "We can't let them have it," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "We have to fight." As they prepared to face the encroaching darkness, Aurora understood that love was not just a refuge. It was a force that could drive them to brave the impossible, to confront their fears and protect the fragile thread of hope that bound them together. The stakes had never been higher, and as the shadows closed in, she knew they were about to embark on a battle that would change everything. The air was thick with tension as Aurora and Elias descended deeper into the labyrinth, the damp stone walls pressing in around them. Each step echoed with a haunting whisper of the past, the faint scent of mildew and earth mingling with the anticipation of what lay ahead. Their hearts raced, a blend of fear and determination propelling them forward. They had heard tales of a secret chamber, a place where the clockmaker had hidden his most precious creation, an artifact that could turn the tide of war. As they navigated the narrow passages, the flickering light from Elias's lantern danced across the walls, revealing intricate carvings that told stories of time long forgotten. Aurora felt a shiver run down her spine, not just from the chill of the underground, but from the weight of history pressing down upon them. She glanced at Elias, his face illuminated by the soft glow, a mixture of resolve and vulnerability etched into his features. They were not just seeking an object. They were fighting for a future, for the love that had grown between them like a fragile bloom in a winter storm. Finally, they reached a massive door, its surface adorned with a complex mechanism, a testament to the clockmaker's genius. Elias's hands moved deftly, tracing the contours of the puzzle. Aurora held her breath, the world outside fading as they focused on this moment. The world outside seemed surreal, the stars twinkling above as if they were unaware of the chaos she had just escaped. Aurora paused. As Aurora emerged from the clammy darkness of the labyrinth, her heart raced, not just from exertion, but from the searing weight of loss that gripped her chest. She stumbled into the cool night air, the moonlight casting a silvery glow over the rugged terrain of Willow Creek. The world around her felt surreal, as if the shadows of the past and the weight of her present collided in a cacophony of grief. The artifact, a shimmering relic that once pulsed with the promise of hope, felt like a leaden weight in her arms, a constant reminder of the life she had just lost. Elias's sacrifice echoed in her mind, replaying like a haunting melody she couldn't shake off. With every step she took toward home, the reality of his absence crashed over her like a relentless tide. The memories of their whispered dreams and stolen moments felt like shards of glass, beautiful yet painfully sharp. She could still picture his eyes, filled with courage and love, urging her to flee even as danger loomed. How could he be gone? How could she carry this burden alone? The journey back was a blur, the familiar path twisted into a labyrinth of shadows in her mind. The trees whispered secrets of their own, branches swaying gently, as if mourning alongside her. She could almost hear Elias's laughter, feel his presence beside her, and yet the silence that engulfed her was deafening. The weight of the artifact pressed against her chest, a tangible reminder of the promise she had made, a promise that felt impossibly heavy in the wake of her grief. When she finally reached home, the comforting warmth of her family's presence felt like a distant memory. She stepped into the house, the familiar sense of home, baking bread, fresh linens, swirling around her, yet they offered no solace. Her parents and siblings greeted her with concern, their eyes searching for signs of the daughter and sister they knew. But how could she explain? How could she share the truth without shattering their fragile peace? "Are you all right, Aurora?" her mother asked, her voice laced with worry. "Just tired," she replied, her voice scarcely above a whisper. The lie tasted bitter on her tongue, but it was all she could offer. She forced a smile, the kind that didn't quite reach her eyes, and retreated to her room, the sanctuary where her grief could spill forth in private. Once behind the closed door, the walls felt like a tomb, echoing with memories that were now tainted with sorrow. She sank onto her bed, the artifact resting beside her like a silent sentinel, and reached for her diary. It had been her confidant through countless dreams and fears, but now it bore witness to an unimaginable loss. With trembling hands, she opened it, the pages crinkling softly under her touch. "Elias," she whispered, the name escaping her lips like a prayer. The inked words began to blur as tears streamed down her cheeks, pooling on the pages like raindrops on parched earth. She poured her heart into the diary, each word a cathartic release, a desperate attempt to make sense of the chaos swirling inside her. She wrote of their last moments, of his unwavering resolve, and the fierce love that had ignited between them amidst the despair of war. As she wrote, the weight of her secret pressed down harder, isolating her from the world outside. The news of Elias's death had been twisted into a tragic accident, the narrative that would shield her family from the truth, but also distance her from them. No one could understand the depths of her pain, the burden of carrying Elias's legacy, and the artifact that could alter the course of history. She felt like a ghost in her own life, drifting through the motions while her heart remained shackled to that fateful night. Days turned into weeks, and the facade of normalcy became increasingly difficult to maintain. Her family noticed her silence, the way her laughter had dimmed, but they couldn't fathom the storm brewing within her. Aurora's mother would often sit beside her, knitting or reading, but the warmth of their presence only served to deepen her sense of isolation. Every tender glance felt like a reminder of the secret she couldn't share, the truth that wrapped around her heart like a vine, choking her with its grip. Yet, amidst the suffocating grief, a spark of determination ignited within. Aurora began to sift through the pages of the diary, poring over Elias's notes, his sketches, and theories about the artifact. Each line breathed life into her resolve, illuminating the path ahead. She realized that Elias had entrusted her with something far greater than the physical object. He had passed on a mission, a legacy that demanded to be honored. Soon, Aurora found herself in the local library, a place that had once been a refuge of knowledge and adventure. The musty scent of old books filled her lungs as she navigated the aisles, her heart racing with the thrill of discovery. She was no longer just a greeting girl. She was a seeker of truth, determined to decode the mysteries of the artifact and the promise held. With every book she opened, every whispered word she read, she felt a connection to Elias, as if he were guiding her through the labyrinth of her sorrow. She sought out the histories of the war, accounts of the artifacts, and stories of those who had fought and sacrificed for a cause greater than themselves. Each detail she uncovered propelled her forward, transforming her grief into a fierce determination that burned bright in the depths of her soul. Aurora immersed herself in the past, her fingers tracing the lines of history, desperate to understand the world Elias had fought to protect. The more she learned, the more she felt his presence beside her, his spirit urging her onward. It was no longer just about survival. It was about fulfilling a promise made in the shadows of despair, about honoring the love that had flourished amidst the chaos. As the days turned into months, Aurora began to piece together a plan. The artifact, once just a shimmering object of hope, was now a symbol of her commitment to a greater cause. She would not let Elias's sacrifice be in vain. She would become the warrior he had always believed she could be, a guardian of the truth and a beacon of hope for those lost in the darkness. With every step she took, Aurora transformed her grief into purpose, her isolation into strength. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, but she was ready to embrace it, to honor the love that had been forged in the flames of sacrifice. Aurora was no longer just a dreamer. She was a woman on a mission, carrying the weight of her promise with a newfound resolve, ready to illuminate the shadows and bring forth the light. As Aurora stepped onto the bustling streets of the city, the weight of her grief mingled with the urgency of her mission. The air was thick with the scent of roasted chestnuts and the distant sound of laughter, a stark contrast to the sorrow that had become her constant companion. She found herself in a modest apartment, small but functional, with peeling wallpaper that bore witness to countless stories of the past. It felt worlds away from Willow Creek, yet to welcome the anonymity it offered. Here, she could immerse herself in her work without the prying eyes of the familiar. Days turned into weeks as Aurora transformed her grief into relentless determination. The pages of Elias's diary became her lifeblood, guiding her through the labyrinth of secrets she now navigated. The library, with its towering shelves and hushed corners, became her sanctuary. She spent hours hunched over ancient tomes, absorbing every detail about the artifact, which she had come to understand was more than a mere encryption device. It was, as Elias had hinted, a powerful tool capable of unraveling enemy codes and predicting their movements, a weapon forged in the fires of knowledge. Every page she turned revealed another layer of its significance, and with each revelation, her resolve solidified. Aurora learned to decipher the intricate symbols and codes inscribed within the artifact, her fingers brushing over the delicate engravings as if they held the very essence of her lost love. In the stillness of her room, she would whisper the letters aloud, letting their sounds settle into her heart, feeling a connection to Elias that transcended even death. But the world outside was fraught with danger. She had heard whispers of Nazi agents lurking in the shadows, their eyes keen and unyielding as they searched for the artifact that she now safeguarded. Aurora became a shadow herself, honing her skills in observation and discretion. She learned to blend into the crowd, to move with purpose yet remain unseen, her heart racing with each close call. One afternoon, while sipping bitter coffee in a small cafe, she sensed a pair of eyes upon her. A man sat at the far end, his gaze lingering too long. Something in the way he scrutinized her felt predatory, as if he could somehow uncover the secret she bore. Aurora's pulse quickened, her instincts kicking in like a well-rehearsed play. She glanced casually at the door, gauging the distance, calculating her escape. Then, without a moment's hesitation, she stood, pretending to fumble for her coat, scanning the room for any signs of help. As she moved toward the exit, she concentrated on each footstep, her breath steadying as she forced herself to remain calm. Just before she reached the door, she stole a final glance at the man. He remained seated, but his expression had shifted. The curiosity in his eyes had turned into something darker, more predatory. Aurora slicked outside, the cool air washing over her like a balm, but she knew she had narrowly escaped. This was the life she had chosen, one filled with shadows and whispers. But it was a life she embraced fiercely. Back in her apartment, the walls seemed to close in around her, reminding her of the isolation that came with her secret. She turned once more to Elias's diary, finding solace in his words. Each entry was a reminder of the love they had shared, a love that now fueled her mission. Strength lies not in the body, but in the heart, he had written. And with each passing day, the truth of those words echoed louder in her mind. Aurora began to form a network, discreetly consulting those who held knowledge about the artifact and the war that raged beyond her walls. She frequented the hidden corners of the city where scholars and spies alike gathered, their conversations laced with urgency and fear. Here she was a silent observer, soaking in every piece of information, piecing together the puzzle of her mission. Her transformation into a self-taught agent was gradual yet profound. She learned to decipher coded messages, her mind sharpening as she trained herself to think like the enemy. When she caught wind of an impending operation against a local resistance cell, she wasted no time in warning them, her heart racing as she slipped notes into the hands of those she had come to trust, her pulse thrumming with the thrill of covert action. Yet beneath the surface, her heart ached with loneliness. The laughter of children playing outside her window often drew tears to her eyes, a reminder of the life she had left behind. Aurora would sit by the window, watching the world pass by, feeling the emptiness of her solitary existence. It was in these moments that the weight of her promise felt heaviest, but she would clutch the artifact tightly, reminding herself of her purpose. As she delved deeper into the art of counterintelligence, the threats around her only intensified. One evening, as twilight descended, she spotted a familiar figure lurking near her building. A man with the same cold, calculating gaze she had encountered in the cafe stood watching her. He was no longer a mere specter. He was a tangible menace. Aurora's heart raced as she ducked behind the doorway, her mind racing with possibilities. Could he have discovered her secret? In that moment, Aurora realized she was no longer just a grieving young woman. She was a guardian of truth and hope, a silent protector of those who fought against the darkness. And though the path ahead was fraught with peril, she would face it head-on, driven by the memory of Elias and the promise she had made to honor his sacrifice. The world may have been a dangerous place, but within her, a fire burned brightly, illuminating the path to her destiny. As the war clouds began to lift and the first whispers of peace filled the air, Aurora stood on the threshold of her past and her future, a delicate moment suspended in time. She had transformed from a grieving lover into a fierce guardian of hope, her heart still heavy with the memories of Elias, yet buoyed by the weight of her accomplishments. The artifact she had once regarded as a burden had become a beacon, guiding her through the tumult of conflict. Each strategic victory she helped orchestrate through her clandestine intelligence work echoed the sacrifices made by those who had fought before her. In the hushed corners of shadowy taverns and the whispered exchanges of hidden meetings, Aurora relayed critical information that thwarted enemy plans, turning the tide in favor of the Allied forces. She would become a whisper in the night, a flicker of light in the darkest hours, proving that even the smallest actions could ripple through the fabric of history. The thrill of those victories mingled with a quiet satisfaction as Hugh learned of each enemy defeat, each liberated town, a testament to the strength of her resolve and the memory of Elias, When the war finally drew to a close, it was as if the entire world breathed a collective sigh of relief. In that moment, Aurora felt the tension within her release, like a held breath finally let go. The chaos had found its resolution, and though the scars of conflict remained, there was an undeniable sense of renewal. She stood together with others who had endured the unthinkable, feeling the warmth of camaraderie that had blossomed in the ashes of despair. The streets of Willow Creek, once haunted by the echoes of loss and fear, began to pulse with the vibrant energy of life reborn. As she returned to her small town, the familiar sights brought a rush of nostalgia. The willow trees swayed gently in the breeze, their branches whispering secrets of days long past. Aurora felt a pull towards simplicity, a longing to weave herself back into the fabric of community life. She knew all too well the burdens carried by those who had lost loved ones to the war's relentless grasp. With each step she took, she felt an unyielding desire to help, to support, to heal. In the months that followed, Aurora dedicated herself to rebuilding her community. She opened her modest home to families affected by the war, offering a warm meal and a listening ear. Children filled her garden, their laughter ringing like chimes in the wind, a sound that reminded her of the innocence she had fought to protect. She would often gather them around her, sharing stories of bravery and resilience, using the lessons learned during the darkest times to ignite their imaginations and inspire their dreams. The artifact that had once weighed so heavily on her heart was now lovingly stored in a small music box, a treasured keepsake that sat on her bedside table. Each time she opened it, the soft melody that played reminded her of Elias, of love lost but never forgotten. It was a symbol not of sorrow, but of the enduring power of their bond, a reminder that even amid turmoil, love can flourish. She cherished those moments, the music carrying her back to the days when hope felt like a fragile thread, now woven into the fabric of her everyday life. As the years unfolded, Aurora blossomed into the wise and loving grandmother that the narrator would come to know. Her hair, now streaked with silver, framed a face etched with kindness and strength, her eyes sparkling with the stories of a life well lived. She became a pillar of her community, offering guidance and wisdom to those seeking comfort in their own struggles. In her presence, people found solace. In her stories, they discovered courage. Sitting in her cozy kitchen, the scent of freshly baked bread wafting through the air, Aurora would often reflect on the paths that had led her to this moment. The weight of her past no longer felt burdensome. Instead, it became a tapestry of experiences that shaped her into the person she was. Every challenge she faced, every loss she endured, had been a stepping stone toward this serenity. She learned to embrace her memories, allowing them to coexist with her joy, weaving them into the fabric of her present. The narrator, listening to her grandmother's tales, began to grasp the depth of Aurora's character. Each story revealed the resilience that had guided her through life's trials, the love that had fueled her actions, and the sacrifices she had made for the greater good. The seemingly simple life Aurora led was, in reality, a profound legacy of strength and compassion. The gentle wisdom that flowed from her lips was tempered by the fire of her experiences, a reminder that even in the quietest corners of life, extraordinary stories thrived. In the twilight of her years, Aurora sat by the window, the soft glow of sunset bathing her in warm hues. She watched the world outside, where children played and laughter danced on the breeze. Her heart swelled with gratitude, for she had not only survived, she had thrived. She had transformed her pain into purpose, her sorrow into strength, and in doing so, had built a life steeped in love. As the narrator gazed upon her grandmother, a profound realization settled within. Aurora was not merely a keeper of stories. She was a vessel of hope, a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity. The diary she had left behind was not just a record of her past, but a reflection of the legacy she would pass on to future generations, a legacy of love, resilience, and the unwavering belief that even in the darkest of times, light could prevail. Aurora's story was a reminder that life, with all its complexities, could be navigated with grace and compassion. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over Willow Creek. Aurora smiled, knowing that her journey had come full circle. The peace she had fought for was no longer a distant dream. It was the reality she lived. A beautiful mosaic of memories that would forever illuminate the paths of those who followed her. As I sat in the quiet of my grandmother's old study, the sunlight filtering through the dusty window panes, I felt the weight of Aurora's life pressing upon me. The pages of her hidden diary, worn and yellowed with age, whispered secrets that had long been buried beneath layers of time and heartache. Each word was a brushstroke on the canvas of her soul, revealing a tapestry of love, sacrifice, and resilience that I had never fully grasped until now. In those moments spent reading, I realized that this diary was not merely a historical record. It was a map to understanding the woman who had shaped my understanding of strength and compassion. The stories she told me as a child, tales woven with the enchanting threads of fairies and heroes, took on a new hue. Those whimsical narratives were not just fantasies. They were metaphors for her own extraordinary life, the life of a hidden guardian of hope, a woman who carried the burdens of her past with grace. The heroes of her stories mirrored her own journey, each character a reflection of her bravery in the face of overwhelming odds. Her laughter, echoing through my childhood, now resonated with the wisdom of someone who had fought battles, both seen and unseen. As I turned the pages, the love she poured into every line enveloped me like a warm embrace. I found myself understanding the silent strength that defined her legacy. Aurora's true inheritance was not just the artifact that had once seemed so heavy upon her shoulders, nor the secrets she had kept from the world. It was the wisdom she shared through her stories, the lessons of resilience and love seeped into the very fabric of our family. She taught me that strength often lies in vulnerability, that true courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to rise despite it. I could feel the echoes of her struggles reverberating through my own life, the trials and triumphs she faced resonating with the choices I was making today. Her journey through the shadows of war, the pain of loss, and the beauty of rebuilding was not just her story. It was a shared narrative, one that connected us across generations. As I reflected on my own challenges, I felt a sense of connection, a reminder that I, too, was woven into the same fabric of resilience. The shadows she navigated became a guiding light for me, illuminating paths I had yet to discover. With every page I turned, I found emotional catharsis. The weight of my own fears and uncertainties lifted, replaced by a profound appreciation for the life I had been given. Aurora's story became a treasure, a guide illuminating the complexities of existence and the beauty of human connection. Her words were not merely ink on paper. They were a lifeline, a reminder that every struggle holds the promise of growth and that love, in its many forms, is the most powerful force of all. In the quiet moments of reflection, I could almost hear her voice, gentle yet firm, urging me to embrace my own hidden stories. She was a testament to the idea that our legacies are crafted not just in grand gestures, but in the small, everyday acts of love and courage. The lessons she imparted were timeless, echoing through the corridors of my heart, urging me to share my own tales, to uncover the hidden narratives that shape who I am. As I closed the diary, a sense of peace washed over me. I understood now that Aurora's life was an invitation, a call to action for all of us to explore the depths of our own experiences, to share our truths, and to weave our own stories into the fabric of our families and communities. She had shown me that within the chaos of life lies the potential for beauty, that our secrets, our struggles, and our triumphs are threads that bind us together. In this moment, I felt a deep sense of responsibility. It was my turn to carry forward the legacy of love and resilience that Aurora had bequeathed to me. I would honor her memory by sharing her story, by speaking the truths she had hidden, and by inspiring others to uncover their own hidden tales. I realized that every family harbors its secrets, its struggles, and its extraordinary stories waiting to be told. As I stepped away from the desk, I made a silent promise to honor my grandmother's legacy by emplacing the power of my own voice. With renewed purpose, I walked to the window, the light spilling into the room, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. In that light, I could see the connections of our lives, the stories intertwining across time, I felt her presence, a gentle reminder that love transcends even the deepest scars of history. Aurora had not only protected a murderer, but had also safeguarded the essence of humanity, our ability to love, to forgive, and to rise again. In this reflection, I found a universal truth. Each of us is shaped by the stories we inherit and the ones we choose to share. The power of love, the strength of resilience, and the beauty of connection are legacies that can inspire generations. As I embark on this path of storytelling, I carry with me the wisdom of my grandmother, the echoes of her life reverberating through my own. It is in this shared journey that we find comfort, understanding, and the courage to face the complexities of our existence with grace and compassion. As I reflect on the life of Grandma Aurora, I am struck by the profound lessons woven into her story, lessons that echo through time and resonate in our hearts. Her journey was not merely one of love and sacrifice. It was a testament to the enduring strength of a human spirit amidst the darkest of circumstances. Aurora faced unimaginable challenges, yet she emerged not only as a survivor, but as a beacon of hope for others. Her hidden diary serves as a bridge between the past and the present, revealing the depth of her courage and the powerful legacy she left behind. In her pages, we discover not just the hardships she endured, but the beauty of the connections she forged. Each entry is a reminder that love transcends time and space, that it can illuminate even the most shadowed paths. Aurora's story reminds us that even when faced with despair, we can choose to nurture hope, to protect those we love, and to leave an indelible mark on the world. The secrets she held, the sacrifices she made, and the resilience she embodied are not just her own. They reflect the struggles and triumphs of countless individuals who have come before us and those who walk alongside us today. If this story has touched your heart, then it has fulfilled its purpose. Aurora's legacy is not confined to the pages of her diary. It continues through each of us in the stories we share and in the connections we cultivate. As we navigate our own lives, may we draw inspiration from her strength and the love that drove her to protect a murderer, a choice that could only arise from the depths of compassion and understanding. As we close this chapter, I invite you to engage with this tale further. If you found solace in these words, please leave a like, subscribe to this channel, and become part of a community that values the sharing of stories. Your voice matters. It enriches the narrative we create together. Now, I pose to you a question that lingers in the quiet corners of thought. What secret do you think Grandma Aurora held dearest to her heart? Perhaps it was the love she had for Elias, or the hope she nurtured in the midst of war. Or maybe it was the quiet understanding that every life, no matter how troubled, has the potential for redemption. Share your thoughts, and let's continue this conversation, honoring the legacy of a woman whose life was a testament to love, sacrifice, and the power of hidden truths.